Welcome. What is up? Welcome to the Mixer. I am your host, RC. I am joined, as always, by my buddy here, Jeff. How you doing, man?
I'm good, man. Yeah, it's been a fun 2 weeks in football. So
we had NFL Week 2. We're going to cover that. First things first, though, do not forget to like and subscribe to us on our pod feeds, iTunes, Google Podcasts, Spotify, all that good jazz. And our YouTube channel, it's the Mixer channel. And yeah. Oh, and social media at FCY Mixer. Pretty much everywhere. Twitter's the main one. So yeah, I mean, I need to put that down as a script so we get more consistency when I go through that checklist. I mean, I probably wouldn't read it anyway.
It's nice to have, though.
It's all just preamble to tilts because I mean, my weekly vent session. Jeff, I always politely ask you if you have any tilts first. Jeff, do you have any tilts?
Not much. This is probably going to be it's not really a huge tilt, but it goes along with we do fitness check-ins every once in a while, right? Where you talk about what you've been up to, and occasionally I'll talk about what I've been up to.
Jeff versus time? Jeff versus time?
A little bit. So I run a little bit. It's kind of fallen off. I was in a pretty good habit of doing it every day. And then I forget what happened. We went on a couple of little vacations to San Diego, and I just got out of it. Trying to get back into it. And we got a new dog, and she's a border collie. I don't know if you've ever owned a border collie or known one. They're very energetic, which is great, right? I love it. They're not the biggest dogs, but they are kind of mean at times, or can be. So she's really kind of the perfect dog for us. But since we have 3 dogs, it's really hard to walk 3 dogs. Okay. Especially because I'm not the most strict walker. I like to kind of let them smell around and do their thing. I'm not just out there just to walk them kind of thing. So I started running with each of the dogs. Now with Indiana, she's a little Chiweenie, right? I started running with her because she was getting a little fat. And I was like, oh, this will get me out. And so I was like, okay, start running with her. She's easy. She runs my speed. It's perfect, right? She can run faster, but she can just chill at my speed for a while. Comey, who's a little bit bigger, much more athletic though. He loves to run and get out. He can tolerate my speed, would love to run faster though. But he'll, jog it with me, make me feel good about myself kind of thing. But Olive, our new border collie, I went running with her the other day, went running with her again this morning, and she makes me feel terrible about myself because she's bigger, so she takes longer strides. And I run fairly slow. Like I was running like a 9.5, 10-minute mile today, like pace, like nothing crazy. And she pretty much walks the whole thing. Like I'm going slow enough that she's like sniffing around as I'm trying to run with her. And I'm like, what are you doing? Like you're defeating the purpose of this right now.
Bro, you gotta get the Cesar Millan inline skates. Get a little brink action going on, get the knee pads, the elbow pads, and just let that border collie be your sleigh dog.
So I've actually thought about something like that. I don't know if I could ever do the inline skates like that, but I do enjoy biking. And
shaming inline skaters.
I'm not. It's just not for me. If people love
inline skaters, cancel culture is going to come for you, my friend.
That's fine. But I have debated getting a bike because of this now, because I can't keep up with her. Even if I run top speed, she's just faster than I am. She runs.
That seems more dangerous. How comfortable are you on a bike?
Pretty comfortable. I'm not worried about being on a bike. She's also pretty good at just staying with me for the most part. But we're running through a neighborhood, right? So there's a lot of grass. If I run with her on the street, which we did at one point today, she's much better. She just focuses on me and stays with me the whole time. And she's pretty good at keeping my pace. It's just my pace isn't fast enough for her. So then she makes me feel like I'm extremely slow. And I know a 10-minute mile isn't particularly fast, but It's also not the slowest, and she makes me feel terrible about myself.
Border collies. I've had this vision as a child that someday I would be a bachelor and I would have my border collie and my Jeep Wrangler or something, and we just go on adventures, hanging out with mountain chicks. But probably not going to be very many chicks in the mountains nowadays. Hashtag topical, but yeah, man. Yeah, they have a lot of energy. They chase frisbees. They're smart. I think they're smart, or maybe they're actually dumb, but they're
No,
energetic.
they're listed as one of the smartest breeds you can get, and she's really good. She just she plays with the other two dogs. We let them out in the backyard, and I was just out there for like an hour with them.
Mm-hmm.
And they'll play, they run around, they do everything. Like they have a lot of fun together. But she's just got so much energy, and it's just
man.
And she can run, like I think I was reading, like border collies run up to like 30 miles an hour, and they'll run. They were bred to like herd sheep, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so they were bred to move up to like 50 miles a day.
Yeah,
so
they're just nonstop.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you're gonna need. I strongly recommend bike or inline skates, and you're probably gonna have to put in like a half hour to an hour with her every day.
Yeah.
But I mean, they're fun as hell. Or just get frisbee, go to a park, and just what I used to do. I used to have a lab, and as a kid, and from when he was a puppy, my grandma had a huge yard, and I would just get a tennis ball, and I would have like a bat, and I would just freaking smoke the ball as far as I could, and he'd be out there for like an hour just chasing the ball, and I got some practice swings in and probably fucked up my shoulders, but that dog was in shape, man. He was hashtag built.
Yeah, we used to do that with Sam's dog Moose, her chocolate lab. We would do that. Her dad lived on half an acre and had a pretty big backyard, and we would just throw the ball to him, and he would just nonstop until he couldn't do it anymore, and then he'd just walk away from us.
He was a handsome dog, I will say. He was, I mean, he was a good looking lab. He got compliments all the time. He was not a fat boy. He was a cut boy.
Nice.
All right. So yeah, man, that's a hell of a tilt. Being ragdolled and not being in the best shape of your life, while you got some up and comer putting you through the ringer there.
Yeah, she's also 2, right? So she's not anywhere near her prime yet, and she's gonna do this for the next few years, I think.
Oh man, thoughts and prayers. You got any other tilts?
Nope, that's all. I was maybe going to have a tilt with Aaron Jones, but luckily I survived the onslaught. In my work league, I was playing Matt George and had about a 45-point lead or something, 50-point lead going into Monday night, and he almost brought it back with Aaron Jones, but couldn't quite finish the deal.
He had a night. I got the wrong end of it. Aaron Jones, Aaron Rodgers stack. So, I mean, that's just how it goes sometimes. Anyway. Yeah, so I mean, of course I'm gonna have some tilts. Where to start? So yeah, going through the move has obviously been and like being separated from my daughter a little bit has been a challenge emotionally, physically, all that stuff. But I mean, it's going relatively well, as well as it could. The body's just absolutely destroyed. Time is against me. I'm thinking about going and getting acupuncture, massage, like full on thing. So that's been a challenge, but this I didn't expect an attack from possibly my greatest rival, my biggest enemy, when I'm at my most vulnerable, like I am right now. But I mean, the simulation just just stooped to an all-time low, attacking me when I'm at my most vulnerable. So that the iPhone had an update recently, and I did the update, and then yesterday morning I wake up and I got this notification saying like, "Oh, we created a photo album for you. Why don't you take a look?" It's called Growing Up, and of course, got a lovely picture of my daughter on the front of it. And I'm like, well, I mean, I have to watch this. And so I open it up, and it's this slideshow set to like this acoustic kind of uplifting guitar, and it's got pictures over the past year from her. It's got um trips to the park where it was just me and her like eating spaghetti at a restaurant for the first time. Her face just, you know, really really covered in it all, and just other things like her birthday on the swing, walking, all these different things we did. And then at the very end, it of course it has the closer, and it's just this video. Just a typical day. Me with my daughter. Usually, at some point, we're on the couch and we're just playing, and she's being cute. So I take videos of her often. And in this particular video, it's cut, and it's just me, and I say, "Hi, Aria. Say hi to the camera. Someday I'm going to show this to you when you're bigger." And then it just like slowly fades out, and this is like 8:15 in the freaking morning. I got a conference call to be on at like in 10 minutes or so, and like I am just sobbing in absolute just wreck because I'm waking up at a house where my daughter's not at anymore, which sucks. But I mean, it's temporary right now, going through this transition and move and all this stuff, getting her room ready. But yeah, not cool simulation, not freaking cool. Like, I know I just went 2-0 against your freaking minions in our primary fantasy football league, but like, just that blow gut punch when literally at my most vulnerable and most exhausted. Like, okay, simulation, I see you. You know, yeah. I mean, maybe I rely on all your devices way too much, and so anyway, yeah, man. I just it I mean, it was like, it was touching. It was I can't say I didn't enjoy it, but um yeah, it just had me tilting all day. It was like, I can't do any work. Like, I still haven't, like, I showed everybody. I showed my sister, showed people from work, and I'm just like, dude, check this shit out. Like, this is what my phone did, and now it's all in my head. So, have you ever had experienced anything like that, Jeff? Like the spooky iPhone tech being like, I read your mind. Watch this video so I can control you more.
I haven't gotten it with the iPhone stuff. It happens to me all the time, and I'm not one of those people that hates it. But with advertisements, I love being able to just talk about something, and then when I go to Amazon or if I go to Google, like, it just shows up, because then I don't even have to worry about searching for it. Right? It's just there. I'm good with it. I just talked about it. Perfect. I'm not one of those people that freaks out about that stuff. But no, I've never had anything like super personal or like hit me like that, as far as like an iPhone update or anything like that.
Yeah, yeah. The tech is spooky. I do like the convenience. Like right now, I'm looking for furniture and stuff because I'm like furnishing and like rooms and shelves, and so like all my ads are that kind of thing. And I'm like, oh, that's a cool desk. Like, I'll check that out. It's kind of convenient. It seems to, the algorithms seem to know your taste and stuff based on, I mean, it has all your freaking info, your age, blah blah blah, all
Right.
that shit. So it does like suggest some pretty cool stuff, and that does make it convenient because like digging around to do it manually, you can't find like the same stuff. Sometimes though, like I just think about something and then an ad pops up for it. That's freaking spooky. I don't know, like I mean, they'll say that they're not recording anything. It's just like based on similar people. So like my freaking duplicates out there are feeding whatever this freaking simulation we're living in is. But it did get me thinking, like, and I've had this thought kind of recently. The whole, I mean, the Matrix is back in pop culture. We got the ads coming out, so that's gonna be dope. But there's like, we've kind of dabbled in simulation talk. If you haven't heard it before, I mean, just dig in the archives. We kind of do it half in jest. I'm like, maybe 33.333% certain that we are actually in a simulation of some sort. But I've kind of just been thinking about like the purpose of that, and I don't know. Anyway, and then what would like anchor you from, like, I mean, say you're like actually Neo, right? Like you're the freaking Neo in this shit, and you gotta find your red pill, blue pill moment, right? And like, what would you decide? And I don't know, like, just like having my daughter in my life, like even like knowing that if this were just like hashtag not real, like I don't know that I would care, you know. Like
Right.
I just feel like I'm here for some sort of reason to figure something else out. And like, I mean, my daughter, she's just like, I can't imagine anything mattering more than that. And but at the same time, is that like, the simulation just kind of like anchoring you down to prevent you from like escaping. So I don't know. It's just like kind of interesting thought experiments that I've been having, and like I've been thinking about that, and then like my phone hits me with like, here's a photo album to anchor you and even more, bro. Like, stay put, fucker. I don't know. Do you have any thoughts on that, or am I just rambling here, man?
I mean, I've definitely thought about similar things. Like what would cause you to try to break out, let's say, or what would keep you here, but nothing too recently.
Yeah, I mean, what would you don't really have the anchor of a kid. I mean, I hate to be like the hashtag dad, or you don't have kids, you don't know. But like, I mean, Sam, like if you were like 100% told, here's red pill, green pill, or blue pill. I'm getting all fucking jacked up here. Like, leave everything behind, or like find out like what reality is. I mean, what would you do? Have you thought about this before?
I mean, currently I'm red pilling it all day.
Okay, so you'd be outro. Um, yeah, man. I think if I don't know, like if I was approached somehow like 100% confirmation, I think I would just be like, I'm good. Like, I definitely not at where I want to be in life, but like I have my daughter, so like fuck everything else. Like, if she's a bot, she's the funnest bot I can ever imagine. So,
Yeah.
I mean, seriously, like, fuck off with your utopia or whatever you got going on in reality, and it'll probably change, Um, but yeah, I mean, I feel like whatever's going on here, I still got something to learn.
Yeah.
I mean, this is just probably really, I don't know, kind of out there conversation, but just shit I've been tilting on. It's like the end of Inception. Have you seen Inception?
I have.
Yeah, and so like what Leo DiCaprio spins the top, right? And it's just spinning, and that's his what do they call that? His I need to watch. I watched it once and I
I
was
think it's his anchor.
exhausted. Yeah, anchor. Okay. Well, I mean, perfect. I'm using that language. Sam, if you're listening in the background, Jeff just said I'd peace out on you if if Jeff just said if he found out that the simulation was real, he'd be outro. Not to put you on blast, but
I have headphones in, so she's not hearing that. So
okay. She should subscribe, listen, and like, and rate and review. But anyway, so Leo DiCaprio spins the top, right? and he leave. Well, spoiler alert. Okay, if you haven't watched Inception and you want to see it, like maybe skip ahead 3 or 4 minutes. But he spins the top, and the shot kind of fades out, and the top is still spinning, and he doesn't know if he's in a dream or not, because if he's in reality, the top will stop spinning, but if he's in a dream, it'll keep spinning, and it keeps spinning, but it like wobbles. So you're like, well, what the fuck? Is he in the dream or is he not in the dream?
Right.
And a lot of people were, upset with the way that ended. And then who came up with that? Was it Ridley Scott, or who was the director?
I forget. It was
Christopher Nolan, right?
Yeah, I believe so.
One of the big like sci-fi action dudes.
Yeah, it was Nolan.
Yeah, and like he came out later because people kept asking like, what's up with the ending? Like, and was he in a dream? Was he not in a dream? And then he said, like, that's not the point. The point is, like, Leo's character got to the point where it didn't matter if he were in a dream or not, because he was like with his daughter. And anyway, so like I need to rewatch that movie, and I don't know if it's just like reflective going through this life change and shit, but just been having some interesting thoughts. If anybody wants to do mushrooms with me in Joshua Tree, like let me know, because I'm down. Moving on.
I'm in.
Let's talk some sports. Well, let's get this tilt out of the way. What the hell is up with the Padres, man? What are they, 5 games back now? They dropped another freaking heartbreaker to the Giants last night. Everybody's blaming Jace Tingler. Jeff, I did terrible show prep this week. Just, I'm prepping mentally for all kinds of stuff, as you can tell, and you can get in the room ready and shit. But I mean, what's from a third party perspective, like what's going on with the Padres, man?
It looks like the Padres low key quit on Tingler. Maybe high key based on some stories that have come out.
Why do you think that is?
I mean, he's never seemed to be the most personable manager. And I support this in a way. Like, he's very analytics based, or tries to be, which I think is the right approach, especially to a sport like baseball. But I think you see the managers that have a lot of success and sustained success in baseball tend to be guys that are more analytics based, but they're also very personable. Like, they get along with the players. They know how to like pump players up and stuff like that. And I just don't think Tingler does. Like Joe Madden for a long time in Tampa Bay was, kind of the epitome of, I think, what you wanted. A guy who understood the analytics, was willing to listen to them, but also understood his players, and played things very well. And I think Tingler wants to be that and just isn't. Mm-hmm. I also think, I'm a supporter of Tatis not being at shortstop, but him not being in the heart of every play, I think hurts them morale wise. He may not be the best shortstop, but what he brings energy wise and people seeing him all the time, I think matters more than you can really quantify. And him being out in right field or wherever, or center, where he kind of doesn't get a whole lot of action and isn't involved a whole lot, I think lessens his value as a whole, because a lot of his value comes from the energy that he brings, not just, how many home runs he hits, or how many RBIs he gets, or how many, cool plays he makes in the field. Guys feed off of him. I think that's why you saw the confrontation with him and Manny last week, because Manny knows that guys feed off Tatis, and if he's, showing bad body language or acting inappropriately, it needs to get fixed. Like, he's probably the one guy on the team that can't do that kind of stuff.
See, that's why I love you, Jeff. You think shit through. You come up with a well-reasoned take. You kind of see both sides and make a logical argument, because I've seen a lot of people just blaming Tingler, like this is just flat up dude not doing his job. But if we remember at the start of the season, his management of the bullpen and the pitchers got them some wins that they 100% shouldn't have gotten. and he doesn't have that name recognition like a Joe Madden, so he wasn't really getting the credit there. It was, I mean, I don't even know where the credit was given. It was just like to the team in general. And there was criticism of him like going to the bullpen and utilizing the arms that he had in the way that he was, instead of like kind of praising for the results that was coming from. But that piece where you're talking about how he doesn't really have that relationship with the players as a players manager, I think that is spot on, and that is probably the problem. And I mean, your evaluation of him of Tatis being in the outfield, may be good for the team as far as just utilizing the infield talent that they have, and maybe putting Tatis out in the outfield where, I mean, can we just say it? Like, he does have an air problem. I mean, he didn't last season. I don't know what's up with this season. And then also like the injury risk. He currently is like, that probably is the right analytical thing to do, which is, what they kind of employed after his mid-season injury. But you're right, like him being involved in the infield and and giving that team that the swagger that they seem to feed off of by just Tatis turning a double play. Or I mean, he almost made a freaking game-changing play yesterday with the little bloop that went over his head. I mean, he was super close. We almost had like Air Tatis 3.0. That would have been a double play, but instead it resulted in the Giants getting the winning run because he just missed it. But if he makes a play like that, then yeah, I mean, the team's fired up. You can't, like, they're not going to lose that game. So yeah, I mean, I appreciate your take. I think the criticism of Tingler, is warranted, but the guy's not completely useless. This is his first time being a manager. His analytical moves, especially with the bullpen, are not, I don't think they're wrong. The results aren't there for putting Tatis in the outfield, but yeah, he just doesn't seem to have the personality to bring the clubhouse together, and probably gonna have some sort of shakeup in the offseason. And I mean, hopefully Padres leadership gets it right the next time around, because I mean, I feel like they're just the ones calling the shots. Like they picked Tingler out because that's how they wanted the team to be run.
Yeah, and I don't think they were necessarily wrong in wanting that. I just think, and I don't think Tingler's a bad guy, or I don't even think he's a bad manager. I just don't think he's the right manager for this team. He might work better on a team that depends a little bit less on like energy plays, if that makes sense. Like, I mean, it's baseball and that doesn't really make sense in my head, but like when you watch the Padres, they just play better when Tatis is involved, regardless of if he's even making plays or not. If he just happens to be there and is having fun, they're better as a team. I think he might work better. Like Tingler might work better on a team like the Phillies, where they're just kind of, drones in a sense.
He's more of a sun hat guy. He does look like more of a sun hat guy, Tingler.
So I don't dislike Tingler, but I do hope the Padres get someone similar but more personable, if that makes sense, who can, I think, work with the personalities a little bit better.
Yeah. How do we get here, man? Padres were like 2 games behind the Dodgers the whole season. Now they're like 20 games back. They're 5 games back from the wild card. I mean, frick, man. They can't buy a win. It sucks. It makes me regret the takes earlier in the season when they were losing to the freaking Rockies, Diamondbacks, and Pirates. I was like, it'll be fine. Like, don't worry about it, guys. Like, they're beating the team. They'll flip it on when they need to. Caring about Padres baseball is a rough one. But there's still a chance. Padres Twitter, you still suck. I just want to throw that in there. And don't go after Manny and Tatis for that dugout shit. Like, they care, man. I want to see that. I don't want to see complacency.
Right.
In the umpire robo umpires, I mean, the simulation is just like fully got me on board with this attack this year, whatever. But yeah, like ban all refs, any sport. Just let's fucking get rid of them. Let's just do shit with lasers and the blockchain and call it a day. That'll transition nicely into NFL week 2. I mean, I just feel like the NFL just keeps getting better and better. I don't know how the fuck they do it. But at the same time, more and more frustrating. There was some terrible reffing this weekend. Hands up, I haven't had a chance to watch anything besides the Charger game. So, I mean, I have NFL Game Pass. I usually, by now, have rewatched half the games, the condensed version. So I kind of have a read. But so most of this is going to be secondhand and from my red zone watching in the morning. But let's talk Chargers and Cowboys. Jeff, did you see any of this game by any chance? I'm not sure. Does the mega market extend to Utah or not?
We have red zone, so we did see some of this. We generally watch that because no one in the house besides me is like a super football fan. So we kind of just watch the exciting plays, and then like you, I'll go back and watch games later, especially if I'm really interested in them. Haven't seen the whole game. Did see a couple plays, and it was surprising that it was only 20-17. Considering how many yards were gained throughout the game, and I think there was only like one punt for each team. So, yeah, that was pretty crazy. I will say, fantasy-wise, I was praying for a Dallas win at the end because in our home league, I was playing Matt, who had Justin Herbert as one of his 2 QBs, and I just did not want Herbert to get the ball back.
Yeah.
So confession there, but
that's fine.
But yeah, the game seemed exciting to me, other than the fact that teams didn't score a whole lot.
Yeah, over 800 combined total yards. Time of possession was actually almost 50-50. I don't know how it's almost 50-50. It seemed like the Chargers had the ball from like the second quarter on, and they were just having these long drives called back from penalties. Herbert had like 3 long plays called back for illegal man downfield, a bullshit holding call. I mean, you freaking name it. Illegal formation. They had a touchdown taken off the board, which apparently was true because Jared Cook was like, he didn't set, I guess. He was like kind of like hopping up and down in place. Dude, like, I'm not one that pulls the rigged card or fixed card, but man, it was just horseshit. I mean, from the very first drives, they just were flagging everything. I was like, this is going to be one of those games. So I don't know what the hell that was. I don't know, because I know that the refs get audited for plays that they don't call or calls that they get wrong, and then that's how they determine who refs in the playoffs. Yeah, so I don't know if that's part of the reason why they were flagging so much. It seemed to be more one-sided. The Chargers had big plays called back. They in the box score, it says they had 12 penalties for a total of 100 yards, but I mean, that's just assessed on the penalty that they get from the line of scrimmage. But they had, I mean, like plays of 40 plus 30 plus yards called back multiple times, and like Herbert's just running around, and dude, the guy has a freaking cannon, and it just was really tough to watch him make these amazing plays and just to have them called back because a lineman was a yard past where he should be because the play went on for 8 seconds. I mean, it's just horseshit, man. This is straight up horseshit. Like, I wasn't even mad at the team because I was just like, how do you win a game like that? You know, like, anyway. And then supposedly the kind of the same thing happened in the what was it? The Titans Seahawks game where the Seahawks were on the receiving end of some bullshit. So
yeah, I mean the Seahawks don't help themselves by the way they play when they get ahead.
yeah.
I'm pretty sure Pete Carroll was the second happiest person in the stadium when Derrick Henry started going crazy because Pete is on team establish the run.
Yeah.
And so I think Pete saw that and probably got a little, excited. But I went back and looked at that game and just looked at the stats and like, Derrick Henry has a huge game. It's like 180 yards and 3 touchdowns or whatever. But it really wasn't all that impressive if you look at like just the raw stats and stuff. Like it was 5.5 yards a carry. He only got there because he got 35 carries. And then if you actually go back and watch the game, like they only get there because the Seahawks mess up. Like the Titan game plan was not getting them back in the game unless the Seahawks messed up.
Yeah.
And so that was, interesting to me. I will say, for Derrick Henry, I thought the most important thing to come out of that game was the fact that he got 6 targets in the passing game, which is the reason I've always not drafted him is because he's never had that like truly like gonna dominate your league upside.
Yeah.
Even last year he played all 16 games and rushed for 2,000 yards, and in PPR leagues he was the running back 3, right? Like, he just hasn't had that like league winning. Well, he's won leagues depending on where you're able to draft him, but like he hasn't had like real like McCaffrey, David Johnson, even Kamara like league winning upside. But if he's going to get 5 or 6 targets a game, he might have that upside this year. And that's what I thought was more intriguing to me than the fact that he, broke off a 60-yard touchdown run.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, usually he peaks or like starts to get this. I mean, his body's just a freaking steamroller, but he usually gets rolling like late October ish, and then into the. I mean, it sounds super like talking head analytics. Like once the calendar turns to the winter, that's when you just get downhill and grind them football. But I mean, like the Derrick Henry is like the embodiment of a big body just crushing bodies that are not as strong as his. So it's one game, but yeah, I mean he got some passes last game too, which is like you said, different usage than he traditionally has been. He's built to sustain a big workload like this because he's just a large freak athlete. So I mean, we could be looking at the perfect running back season. Durability is still going to be an issue because he got a lot of freaking touches last year, and if he's getting more touches already at the start of the year, you know what I mean? So it'll be interesting to watch that as the season progresses for sure. If you have Derrick Henry on your fantasy roster, congratulations so far. You might be in for a good one.
Mm-hmm.
Other talking. Oh, before I forget, if we transition too far away from the ref headline, PFT had an all-time line just to throw off. I don't know how that guy like can inject humor so concisely and artistically into conversations. But they were talking about who was the running back that had their father's ashes around? Aaron Jones. So he got a touchdown, and then his necklace got ripped off in the end zone, and and so like if on pardon my take, they were talking about that, and PFT just said, "Oh yeah, better not let Goodell know about that because they want to flag him for taunting or something." And then PFT comes in and he says, he's like, "Yeah, if the refs from the Charger game were there, they would have thrown a flag for 12 men on the field." I was like, "Oh man,
That's pretty good.
what a fucking line! That is like chef's kiss, man." PFT.
Yeah.
That was
That's really good.
yeah, it was wonderful. They found the necklace, by the way. The other talking point, I believe this was your Cleveland Browns coach, Jeff, that had I mean, you might have to correct me if my team is wrong
Hold
here,
on,
but
I'll
there
be
was
right
some.
back.
All right. We'll circle back to that. We can go over some other games here. So we did have an injury to Andy Dalton. We saw Justin Fields do a little bit. He didn't look that great. Matt Nagy has said, when healthy, Andy Dalton's our guy. So he's gonna die on the Dalton Hill. It sounds like. I mean, it was an Andy Dalton revenge game. So and the Bears did pull it off. So that we'll have to monitor that. And I mean, Trevor Lawrence kind of continued his not so great start. Zach Wilson looked terrible. It might be Trey Lance season sooner than later. So we'll still have to monitor the rookie quarterbacks. But getting back to what I was going to ask you, Jeff, I believe it was your Cleveland Browns. They had a penalty. They had gained. It was like, I guess it was like 3rd and 15. The game.
I think you have this backwards.
Is the other team?
It was the Texans had like 3rd and 15. They gained like 13 yards or something like that. The Browns also committed a penalty.
Mm-hmm.
They declined the penalty, so they had 4th and 2 or something, and then decided to punt. And Stefanski was on the sideline, like, and it wasn't like they were in Browns territory. Like it wasn't like they were on their own 30 or something like that. Like they had crossed the 50, like they were driving. And I think Stefanski was like, look, if you're going to, not take the penalty and you're going to take 4th and 2 in that situation, why not just go for it? Because you're putting your punter in a much more difficult situation.
Field position game, Jeff. Field position. Now, since it wasn't your Browns that I can freaking drag you on doing that, I guess the question becomes, was this a low T coaching move or a high T coaching move? I think we need to define.
Well, my understanding of the low T versus high T conversation around football is if you make the right analytic decision, it tends to be a low T move.
Mm-hmm.
If you make the incorrect analytic decision, but the more correct traditional football decision, it's a high T move. So I would go with high T move.
Yeah. His testosterone levels are too high. Playing the field position game, punting on 4th and 2 rather than taking another try with 3rd and 10 or going. I mean, just fucking wild. Maybe going for it on 4th and 2. Yeah. I mean, our T levels are just too low to comprehend the galaxy brain move that was. Speaking of testosterone, bro, I heard this is totally unrelated, but kind of related to national news. I heard that China has like a memorandum or a ban against what I suppose translates to a sissy boy or sissy man, men in commercials and media. So I think maybe the more more like American equivalent of a sissy boy would be like a metrosexual or something. Like guys who care about their appearance and dress up. I'm trying to think of an example.
This is interesting.
Yeah, not necessarily. I don't want to get canceled, but not like really pertaining to any sexual orientation or anything, but just more appearance related, like men who are put together, maybe get their nails done, their brows done, whatever. So they banned it. They banned that in like media commercials, which I mean, I don't know how much they have anyway, since it's all run by the state. But yeah, they're basically banning low T content.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what the
And
NFL wants to do.
yeah, and it oh man, and I just found that hilarious. I mean, China, the highest of T's, country wise. I mean, the facts speak for themselves. I just wanted to bring that up. So don't bring your analytics to China, because they will just indate you. All right. Any other? I mean, the Sunday night game was crazy. The Ravens came back. Lamar Jackson, really put his mark on the Chiefs, finally getting that one over. I mean, we have some surprise teams standing out. The Panthers are 2-0. I mean, Jeff, what other takeaways, like high level takeaways, do you have from week 2, if any? The Raiders are 2-0 somehow.
Yeah, I think the Saints are still a question mark, right? They look so good week 1 and then so bad in week 2. Don't really know what to make of them. I think the Chiefs are still the Chiefs. Like, right? Like if we realistically look at that Sunday night game, they should win it. Like there's no the Ravens. Yeah, they caused a fumble, but essentially got lucky to get that at the end of the game. Now, granted, they had to go down and score, which they did a great job of. But the Chiefs lost that game, I think, in my mind, more than the Ravens won it. The Packers are probably still the Packers, right? Showing out on Monday night, 35-17. Seahawks are the same old Seahawks. The Buccaneers look, unbeatable again. Jets are just terrible. Zach Wilson played really bad and still got me like 4 fantasy points, and I was still able to beat Matt in a Superflex league.
Thoughts and prayers.
Yeah, I mean, other than that, the Broncos are 2-0. They look like they have a pretty solid defense and a decent offense. Could be tough. The Bills, even though they won 35-0, didn't look particularly great. They looked good enough, and Tua got hurt, so that game might be different if Tua doesn't get hurt, although I still think the Bills win comfortably. And then the 49ers and the Eagles, neither one of them looked particularly good. Both defenses played pretty well. But still kind of, Jalen Hurts didn't have a particularly great game, although it was a pretty solid fantasy game from him. 49ers, it's probably just waiting until Trey Lance is ready, or until they make the switch, and then that offense will probably explode. And then, the Raiders. I still think the Raiders are probably more of an average team than closer to like a 13-4, 12-5 team. Mm-hmm. They beat whoever in week 1. The Ravens. After the Ravens had the most people on IR in the league, and had just gone through like 2 or 3 guys going on IR the week before that game. So I think that game was a little tough for them. And then the Steelers, I just don't think are all that great. I think the Steelers are probably a 500 team. Now, granted, the Raiders played well, although I do think the Raiders have a chance to be a pretty good team if Josh Jacobs stays out, or if John Gruden can keep himself from calling run plays all the time. And I say that because they have pretty solid weapons when they throw the ball, and they're pretty good at throwing the ball. Derek Carr is not elite by any means, but he's a solid QB and with decent weapons. So I think the less they run the ball, the more they throw the ball, the better off they'll be. I just don't know if they'll do that when Josh Jacobs is back, because they haven't the last couple of years. So yeah, that's kind of my take. The Bengals need to get back to where they were last year with Joe Burrow, just letting him throw the ball. They've thrown the ball significantly less than expected this year. But yeah, I mean, other than that, I think we're good.
I'm surprised that the Raiders. I thought the Raiders were just gonna have a trash offensive line. So, I mean, they played the Ravens and Steelers, so traditionally good defensive lines, but
Mhm.
maybe not so much now. I don't know. We'll
But
see how they do as the season. But I mean, they had a lot. They let a lot of their offensive line walk. I was like, this is gonna be a disaster.
yeah, and to the I not to take anything away from the Raiders, but T.J. Watt went out halfway through the game. The Raiders or the Steelers had another D lineman that starts for them that was hurt before the game, not in pregame, but like during the week or something like that, that missed the game. And I believe Devin Bush didn't play either or went out during the game. The Steelers, like one of their better linebackers. So, they didn't. The Steelers weren't at 100% the whole time, right? But the Raiders did what they had to do and took over and won the game. So,
Yeah. I mean, this is the beauty of early season. You get some weird results, and it's kind of tough to we're trying to see what the pecking order is, and it seems like very much there's a lot of parity. We have, I mean, this is just an awesome slate for week 3. Chiefs, Chargers, Cardinals, Jaguars, which isn't that exciting, but you get to watch Kyler Murray and Trevor Lawrence in the same game. Bears, Browns, so you have that division rivalry. You have Baker in there, possibly. Justin Fields. Bills, Washington, not so much. Colts, Titans, not so much. Saints, Patriots. I mean, any game with Jameis is going to be interesting, and then they're going up against the Patriots. So Falcons, Giants, yeah, yawn. Bengals, Steelers, okay. Like, maybe watch the collapse of Big Ben and see what Burrow can do. Ravens, Lions, not that great. But then towards the end of the slate, we have Bucks, Rams, Seahawks, Vikings, Packers, Niners on Sunday night, and Eagles, Cowboys, which may or may not be good, but I mean, you got that division rivalry, and it's the Monday Night Football game. So yeah, man, this is going to be a fun week. I think week 3 for the brand, maybe the best week of the season. Who knows? We'll have to see how it goes. Maybe the simulation will be kind. The Chargers get a win, and Justin Fields coming out party against your Browns. It's what the people want, Jeff.
I'm not against it. I'm a Justin Fields fan. He can come out and just let the Browns win the game.
So we have Formula One this weekend. Before we get out of here, any predictions, Jeff? Sochi, Russia, Mercedes undefeated at this track, which I didn't know. Apparently the track's underwater right now, so I mean, should be fun. What's your prediction here?
Yeah, so I'm going to piggyback off of ESPN F1 today. So Lewis Hamilton won the British Grand Prix. Max Verstappen won at Zandvoort, and Daniel Ricciardo, who's half Italian, won in Italy. So I'm going Nikita Mazepin.
I was like, where are you going with this? Are you going to say Mazepin? Yeah, I mean, that would be a hell of a race. I mean, the haters will be furious. So I'm here for it. But, I mean, I fucking hate this track. Hopefully we get something good. This is the worst freaking track ever. It's anyway.
Yeah, I don't really know what to think of this. I haven't seen a race on this track, to be honest. So I just think, if I had to put money on it right now, I'd probably say Max wins, Lewis finishes second. I was thinking about this the other day. I just think that Red Bull car is just a little bit better than the Mercedes overall. Obviously, Mercedes is a little bit faster in straights, but Red Bull seems to carry speed better through corners, which means that what it seems like is that a lot of tracks, they tend to be a little bit better overall. So I would go in that order. I would probably go Max, Lewis, and then either Lando, Daniel, or Valtteri. One of those 3 third would be my initial thoughts. But I really don't know. I don't know. I know you said Mercedes is undefeated at this track, but Mercedes doesn't have the technical advantages that they did last year or the years before. Mm-hmm. It appears Red Bull's caught up. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. I'm just default Max until Mercedes shows that they're better again.
Let's get weird. Let's get another Lewis Verstappen crash and Ricardo on the podium.
I'm in.
Let's do it. All right. Jeff, we're both winners this week, but you ready for some PF Changs?
Always.
All right. Great show. I should not prep more often. Yeah. See you guys next week. Toodaloo!